and welcome to MomCom. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Shannon.
And we're here to remind you that it's not you.
It's motherhood.
It definitely is.
So today we want to, you hear us talk a lot about how motherhood can feel very lonely and how it can just, you feel alone. I think we've pretty much talked about that on every episode. But today we want to dig into it a little bit more because you know what? It's not actually just a feeling. This is something that's very much rooted in fact. There's statistics to support that this generation that we're in right now and where we are in parenting is in fact one of the loneliest times. And there's sort of reasons behind that. So we want to dig into that a bit today and talk a bit more about why it feels so lonely. And, certainly I don't think we have all of the answers for how to feel less lonely, but hopefully this is sort of a step in that right direction, is just talking about it and recognizing that it very much is a real thing and just digging into it a bit deeper. So
yeah, and I think that for me personally, I've been thinking a lot lately. Well, I always felt alone in motherhood in general, but maybe that's because I don't really have that family support. I don't talk to my mom. I don't really see or talk to my dad. I don't have aunts, uncles, anyone other than my brother who lives on the other side of the world with his family and his kids, right? So I've been grateful to have Matt's family. However, we moved away from them.
mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about Griffin starting travel baseball. And at the same time, Quinn is starting musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do it?
Right.
Because Quinn last year, she would not let anyone else drive her.
Right.
Not even Matt. She would cry if Matt was going to pick her up and it wasn't me. And so where other kids are like carpooling with other families, they don't really know. My kids were never like that.
Well, and you can't clone yourself.
And like even with you, I think we talked about this on another episode.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't even go with you last year. So it makes it really hard. I'm like thinking to myself, how do people do it?
Yeah. Well, and you touched on a point where you used to have Matt's family nearby, but now location-wise, just proximity, they're not, because you and Matt made the decision to move here, which was a great decision.
It's the best decision I ever made.
And I think that's become more common, right? I mean, we've talked about, I grew up very differently than what you've shared about your childhood. But I grew up, my parents went to high school together. And so my grandparents lived 5 minutes from each other. If we really wanted to, we could walk from one grandparent's house to another. I come from a very big family. My mom's one of 9, my dad's one of 7. So I have aunts.
That's huge.
Huge. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and everybody's everybody's in the Pittsburgh area. So I grew up thinking that's how everybody grew up. Because, you only know what you know.
Right.
And so every Sunday I went to my grandparents' house for dinner, and my grandfather hosted everybody. And again, I just thought that was normal. So then now I'm the one that chose to move. So originally Tim and I, we never lived right from college. We moved to right outside of New York and then came here. So that idea of always being around family and always being around your cousins and just growing up together, it's just, it's different. And I think I had to retell the narrative for myself. That it doesn't mean it's bad or wrong, but it's different, right? So they do, we obviously make it a point to see family. And my mom she's amazing. She's never missed a birthday. She always makes sure so the kids know. And actually when we had Matthew, the kids went, yes, that means that's another time grandma has to come visit.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. But point of all of this being it's different now. I don't think it's as commonplace just to sort of stay where you grew up. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And I do think economic factors have a lot to do with that. Our jobs take us to different places. So it's just not always practical to be able to live near grandparents, aunts, uncles, like I think maybe it once was. So I think that plays into the lonely factor a bit.
Yeah.
And, just one more quick point. And, I do think as we're saying this all out loud, I feel very lucky because we moved here. I grew up in Pittsburgh. We moved here. We used to always vacation here. But my father actually moved here probably about 5 years before we did. So
Which is awesome.
Oh my God. I'm very lucky. So I do have that level of grandparent support. But again, it's still different from the days of, you've talked about with family sort of 5 days a week
Right.
watching kids and things like that. It's different now.
Yeah. And I think, every family dynamic is different. Like when I was growing up, all my mom did was party.
Mm.
So, and my Nana, who was involved and she did help as much as she could, but she was traveling the world. So when she wasn't traveling the world, then she would help my mom, who obviously needed a lot of help, right? Because she wasn't in her right state of mind. So it wasn't like we had family around other than her,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And then my stepdad, who was in a similar mindset, we didn't have his family either.
Jeez.
So there was no
Yeah. So you
idea
didn't
of
grow up with
family. There
that
was no cousins.
unit.
And my sister has 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
all a year apart, basically the same ages as Griffin and Quinn, but
Yeah.
they live in Oregon. And I would love for my kids and her kids
Yeah.
to be able to be together. And then my brother's all the way in San Diego with his
Yeah.
2. So we try to meet up for spring breaks. But, I wish my kids had that
Yeah.
sense of family. But it's hard. I mean, people move away for different reasons and different family dynamics. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only one that doesn't have
Right.
parents.
Right.
And my heart breaks because I long for a mom.
Right.
And then I think about other people that don't have a mom
Right.
and how I don't ever want Quinn to know what that feels like
Mm-hmm.
to not have a mom. But I also don't know that I want to help with their kids.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I was so intently waiting for, oh my
Because this
goodness.
is in my mind, right? Like I don't have any help with the kids.
Right.
Then Quinn's going to go have kids and I'm going to be there.
You will be there because it's who you
But I
are.
don't, that's not where my mindset is.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could finally do this and that. And
Yeah.
maybe that's what our, other people's
Yeah.
parents, and that's why they're not around.
I mean,
Because raising kids for 18 plus years
and then doing it again.
is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. But I appreciate you being so open and honest, just talking about your
Yeah.
experience and the way you were raised. And it just reinforces that we all have, every single one of us, while there might be, you might find something similar to me or to Nicole, but every one of us has a different life experience and
Yeah,
was
that's
raised
true.
differently. And our expectations and our thoughts of what family looks like, it's different. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think this idea, though, of when moments can feel quite lonely is it can still resonate whether, you can feel lonely in a room full of people. That's a very real.
Every day at my house.
But it is, it's a real thing. And kind of figuring out how to navigate that can be hard. And we talk a lot about how different stages of parenting, right? Because yours are now a little bit older, but at different enough ages that their
Yeah.
needs are different for who they need at different times and to be
Yeah.
around. And where I have one who I want to start feeling a little bit more independent, but obviously I have a baby as well. So I'm like, gosh, I'm being a helicopter, but I feel like I have to be because
You do.
anyways, I think it's just there's a lot at play and the dynamics are different for every single family. And yeah, you bring up that solid point that how you were raised, it defines your own set of
Yeah.
thoughts.
And it just further
expectations.
enforces my idea of having to do everything alone.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have to figure out all these pickup and drop offs alone. And I always felt like, wow, I hear all these people that move here. A lot of times their parents move here to be close to their grandkids. And I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a mom that could move here to be close to her grandkids and help with her grandkids, but that's not the reality.
Yeah.
And then when they in-laws do live close, that's a whole other dynamic depending on your relationship with those in-laws. You know what I mean? It could be good for some people and bad for some people.
Yeah. But going back to what you said, I think your situation in particular, given everything that you've shared, and then thinking about having to rely on other people. It's probably really hard, right? When
Especially
you grow
when
up
you have
always
that.
being,
Mhm.
you were independent from such a young age. You raised other siblings. Like you had to do so much that I'm sure it's very hard. And I'm not trying to
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist or doctor, but I'm sure it's very hard to trust
You are my
other
therapist.
people.
I don't
Well,
know
I'm
what
sorry
you're
about
thinking.
that. I'm really sorry. Your therapist is crazy.
Well, isn't that the truth? I think we're all crazy. We've already established we're all
Oh,
crazy and alone.
that's like every episode. So we talk about crazy and all, but honestly, I think there has to be that extra layer with some of the childhood trauma that you had to experience to then trust somebody else. In general has to be hard, but then to trust somebody with your children, my goodness, like
Oh, it's
it
terrible.
has to be
I don't trust anybody.
right.
And I trusted people more when they were younger, which is weird. When they were babies and they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't talk, which is when people usually do the opposite, right? They don't want anyone around their kid until they can talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I had good intuition for who was taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they got older, now I am so scared that somebody will do something that could have impacts that last them their lifetime.
Right.
Like I'm constantly trying to make sure that they don't have any traumatic experiences, which is absolutely exhausting. Let me tell you, it is exhausting. And Matt and I used to go on vacation together every year.
Yeah.
Alone, just the two of us. Like I was very like, we need to keep
Carve
our
out that
marriage
time.
strong. You know, we need this for each other. And we haven't done that in 3 years at least because we, you know,
Because who would you
who's
leave?
going to watch them?
Yeah.
You know, and Matt's mom has come and watched them so we could go away for a weekend. So it's not impossible. It's just much harder now that they're older.
Yeah.
Their schedules are more intense. Travel baseball is no joke. You will have no life. I don't know if you do travel baseball, but that is your life for months, which, you know, I love.
Yeah. She's the DJ. DJ Nicole. But no, so I mean that's tricky when you don't have a support system to just lean on. And now as they're getting older and have more activities and you're trying to figure out how to clone yourself, it's impossible. So I guess stay tuned to see how Nicole does it. Oh my God.
I'm going to a new therapist tomorrow. Don't be jealous. Let you know how that goes.
But actually, going back to what we said at the beginning, there are real numbers behind this about when you think about sort of then versus now. And I am going to grab this but some of the things from before, family, we already touched upon this. Family lived nearby.
Yes.
There were multiple adults were involved in that day-to-day life, not just kind of the one-off, date night, but day-to-day life. Kids played outside together. I mean, obviously our kids still play outside, but we know and that's another episode.
Oh, you
just
can't
talking
go outside.
About digital.
Yeah.
There was, thinking about then versus now, there was less information, honestly, and there was less judgment because of that. And moms weren't expected, and I really think this is interesting. Moms weren't expected to optimize every moment. Like I just feel like that's so real because now moms are expected to be patient, present, productive. And honestly, I feel like we're expected to be perfect. And thankfully, one of the things I remind my kids all the time is like, I'm a human being also. I have real feelings and real emotions. I am trying so hard to be all of those things, but I'm not perfect, So,
which is so funny you bring that up because it's Matt's favorite thing to say. So when I get upset with him for not doing something, he goes, sorry, I'm not perfect. And so I have now adopted that mentality. Like, it's like,
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
You are a human being. And guess what? So am I.
So are you.
So I tell the kids, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
Yep.
I can't do it all. Quinn reminded me that, well, Santa does.
She's not wrong.
Yeah, Santa does it all, she said.
She's not wrong. So a few other things, just thinking about that contrast of then versus now. Again, we've touched upon this, but nuclear families often are far from relatives. Both parents are working. Yeah. Whether that's physically working, emotionally working, but to survive now, most households are dual income households.
But you're
parenting is
supposed to work and take care of the children at the same time
and keep your
as a
house
mom.
clean and have dinner ready and pack
All at the same,
lunches.
and then
Yeah.
take them to their activities. But do it all alone.
And you better look good while you're doing it.
Yes. Don't look how you normally look, Nicole. Okay.
And then quickly, parenting is hyperanalyzed. Absolutely. We've talked about
It's
that so much.
exhausting.
And constant comparison through social media.
Ugh.
I mean, my goodness. And we do it to ourselves, right? I mean, the doom scrolling and looking, gosh, oh my gosh. So it is different. And not saying this to sort of make excuses, but it is
It's so different.
And there's a lot.
And I wonder what it's going to be like for our kids.
I wondered. I really hope the pendulum swings back. Is there any possibility that it's going to swing back and we can get back to like a 90s mentality at all? Please?
Well, don't all the fashions come back?
So maybe I honestly, like, that's what
Let's bring back the telephone.
I want.
You know, there's
a
that
landline.
telephone that the kids can connect and call each other. It's not like a landline. It's, I think, the can.
I want. Oh, yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
But you have to have a group of kids for it to
so
work.
You have to have all the parents have to be on board to also get it. I mean, I want to go back to a landline with the long cord and the kid has to be in the kitchen and they try to like duck around to have these conversations. Like, that's what I want to go back to.
Well, I didn't have that. I had the clear swatch phone.
Oh, I wanted one of those.
And I would put it in my room.
Oh, actually, when we got older, my mom did let us get a separate line. It was a very big deal. So we had our house line, which obviously I still remember the phone number too. And then she got a second line and poor Ryan, now that I'm thinking about it, it was in my room and Josh's room, but I don't know why Ryan didn't have it. But so we each had a phone. We had an answering machine, and my friends and I
were fancy.
We used the answering machine to like hear ourselves sing. We would like do karaoke with, and then anytime my older brother Josh was on the phone, I would be like listening, and he's like, "Shannon, get off the phone." I'm like, "I'm not on." Anyways,
should we bring back the answering service?
Oh my gosh, answering machines were really fun because we didn't have anything else. But anyways,
we digress.
I'd like to get back to simpler times, I guess. And I think so many of us do feel that. Anytime I'm having conversations, there's a big group of people that are saying, my goodness, like there's so many positives to all the technological advancements, but also like, let's bring it
It's
down.
really hard to manage.
It's very hard.
Especially with kids and devices.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we've talked about that's definitely going to be a topic that we're going to touch upon because it just gets trickier and trickier to navigate as they get older and as other people have access to things and
others don't. Mm-hmm. And one person has a channel, the other person doesn't have a channel. Who can be on the channel? Like it is. Why are we even having a channel?
Right. Like here's a pen and paper.
Yes. Here is a video camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then just the other thing I think that's worth bringing up, thinking about lonely, thinking about expectations on parents. I can't help but bring this up, and it's probably because of kind of where I am on my journey. But I just think that the U.S. is very behind when it comes to supporting parents, supporting mothers, maternity leave. When I look at our maternity leave versus other countries, the support it's not there.
No.
It's not baked in any way, shape, or form. And the expectation is, okay, you're not going to have paid leave, but you need to still make sure you're taking care of yourself. You need your body to heal. You need to take care of that baby. You need to take care of the other children that you have. You need to get back to work and you need to bounce back quickly. Like it's just...
And you need to do it all alone.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we need...
Why your spouse goes to work.
Because because the bills have to be paid.
So it's really...
And childcare costs are so expensive. It's out of control. So
I don't know how we did it. You just do it and somehow it happens, but I don't know how we did it.
But I do think, you and I were talking the other day about how that we know people that moved away and then ultimately did move back to be near grandparents because it was too much and it was too
And I was
hard.
like, how could they move from here? It's like the weather is so nice and they're moving back to snowy conditions, but you got to do what you have to do for your family.
Yeah.
You know, and so, or you just go crazy.
There it is. But so I think, again, our hope is to typically wrap these up with clear takeaways and just something, but I don't think there's not a quote unquote solution for this, right? I think we're all doing the best we can. As you said, we're all trying to sort of get creative and how we can be in two places at once.
Yes.
And my hope, your hope, our hope is that just talking about it and saying things out loud
That
makes
you're
it
not
feel,
alone.
yeah, it just makes you feel better. And I think that, again, like just there's a lot of stuff that I think we think about on a day-to-day basis. And I think a lot of it can come back to that sort of loneliness factor. And so,
Mhm. How can we not be alone in this journey? And that's why we created
yeah,
MomCom, because then we will feel, I hope, our hope is that it's like a community
yeah.
where we're not alone.
Well, and they say it takes a village. And what did you
It
say to me the other
does.
day? You go, "Where's my village?"
Where's the village? We're
Where's the
right here.
village? So
We're right here.
that's what
Here is the village.
we are. That, I mean, seriously, the MomCom
Yeah,
village.
that's
That's what
right.
this
We're going to bring
community
back landlines, answering services, and villages,
we're doing. We
right?
could get a compound. This is good. We're on to something
Bell
here.
bottoms.
Well, they made a comeback.
See, it can
Bell
happen.
bottoms made a comeback. Now I do like the barrel jeans, but I
I
digress.
know. You and your barrel jeans.
I,
You're too cool for me. Okay, I can't sometimes.
oh, I mean, who do I think I am? 41 years old, trying to keep up with all these
You know what?
trends.
You rock it.
It's
So
fun. Wearing
not
my 15-year-old sweater, but hey,
not me. No barrel
so
jeans. But thank you so much for tuning in.
we hope you are listening to the episodes, following us on MomCom Official on Instagram, all the things, because we're really trying to build this community for real. And we want to hear from you.
Yes,
So reach out with anything, thoughts, comments, questions.
all of it. Bring it. This is your village. We're here for you, right? And for us.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a
See you
great
next
one.
time.